Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I'm so excited to be sharing with you my book review for my latest read called The Bottom of the Pool by Andy Andrews. And it says thinking beyond your boundaries to achieve extraordinary results. Now, when I do this review, I'm going to refer to the book because I didn't make notes, but I was really inspired by this book. First of all, before I share my views on the content, I want to share my views on the structure of the book. So firstly, I think the book was so well written. Andy explains that he is a great communicator, and you can really see this coming through the book because what he tried to do was to make this book conversational. So he asks a lot of questions and pauses to allow the reader to respond to these questions or to ask themselves the questions, which is what he really encourages, is that people ask themselves a lot of questions. He says the quality of people's thinking is very related to the quality of questions that you ask about life, about the normal things that you see around you, and how you engage really with the world in terms of the questions that you ask. What I also love is that the book is about beyond the box thinking. He says we do not call it out of the box because everyone now claims that they are thinking out of the box. And so if everyone is thinking out of the box, then out of the box has become really crowded. And it means, if you're thinking out the box, then you're just thinking like everyone else. So he talks about beyond the box thinking. And what I love, an example of how he demonstrated this beyond the box thinking is that he put the preface of the book right after chapter 5. Now, we all know usually the preface of the book is before the introduction or just before chapter 1, but he says he thought to himself, nobody reads the preface, and I am going to put so much effort in writing this preface that I want everyone who reads the book to read it. So how about I put it in a different place than I usually put it? And he had to ask himself, who said that a preface has to be before the book? And it was interesting. I found that really brilliant and interesting, and just a good demonstration. If you're trying to write a book about beyond the box thinking, and you demonstrate that in how you've written the book, then you've really done half the job. So I found that really cool. What I also like is that because the book is about how we think and how we can think, better in order to get extraordinary results. He really and about controlling your thinking. That's the point I wanted to make. The book is about controlling your thinking and being intentional about, all right, in the next 5 minutes, this is where I'm going to allow my mind to drift, and then coming back from that and then allowing your mind to drift another way. So what he does in the book to demonstrate this is he'll talk about something else and then say, all right, now that we've spoken about that, let's take a break and talk about something else. And then he will sort of drift away from the previous point he was trying to make, and then pull you back into the point that he was trying to make. This was so brilliant for me. Now to the contents of the book. So there's a lot of gems, that you can get from the book. Another thing about well-written books is that they tell a lot of stories. So he demonstrates his points by telling a lot of stories. So I'm in a state of my mind right now where I am questioning things, but generally I question things all the time. I question things around, who said we should raise children a certain way? Who said that marriage is supposed to be this way or that way? Who said that, when we work, this is the type of attitude we need to take to work? All these things, I question quite a lot of things. So this book really gave me permission, I think, to just keep on questioning, right? To just keep on being myself and to keep on questioning, and to not be a person that accepts convention as the norm. So he talks about the fact that there are a lot of things around us that we see that are true, but they are not the truth. And that if you want to be an extraordinary person, you need to seek the truth, the source of where all the other truths, not truths, truths are derived. All right. So he talks about the power of the mind a lot, and the importance of, us being intentional about what we think about, or where we allow our minds to wander, because he says the quality of our lives is really going to be determined by the things we allow in our minds. Now, if we're always thinking about, negative things, or not even negative things, but if we're always thinking about something, that is what we will manifest in our lives. And I have seen this to be true. When I'm worried and I'm thinking negatively about certain things, maybe about money or about relationships or about the future, then I can't make clear decisions. I'm driven by a very negative I'm motivated by very negative emotions, and so I tend to make decisions out of fear, or out of want, or out of lack, or out of negative emotions, and I don't make good decisions in that state. So he talks about why it's important that we think right, why it's important that when we see challenges, we don't see roadblocks, but we see things to be conquered, that we should think around how can I get there, not I can't get there, or I'm not supposed to get there. So it's really a powerful book about thinking. He also talks about challenging yourself, challenging your own thinking. Now, I did a YouTube video last month, I think, where I spoke about the fact that people are so quick to limit themselves, to make conclusions about themselves. You'll hear a 30-year-old saying, oh, well, I'm not a good speaker, or I just don't like traveling, or I'm just not, into mathematics. I'm just, an arty person. Or you'll hear a finance person say, I'm just not creative. I'm not innovative. So don't, ask me anything that has to do with innovation. And I feel these are really premature conclusions that we make about ourselves. And so he talks about that as well, by sharing a story of somebody that thought they knew better than everyone and always had an answer for everything. And when they didn't have an answer, they thought, well, it's impossible because I can't solve this problem. And he spoke about the wisdom of knowing that you don't know everything, and knowing that you don't know what you don't know. To me, I translated it as, it's important to keep on learning and seeking and asking questions. It's important to know that there is a reality that you don't know that is beyond what you know, and that you shouldn't be limited by your own conclusions and your own biases that you've made about life. Because if you continue, right, thinking the way you're thinking now, you will only achieve the results that you've managed to achieve till now. But if you start thinking differently, challenging certain things, challenging certain norms, then maybe you will achieve greater results. A key principle that I got from this book that I am still chewing on is around value. He spoke about the fact that as a person, you can only earn if you provide value, or the amount of money you earn, or the amount of benefits you earn are very directly linked to how much value you're creating for people, or for your customers if you're a business, right? Or for your stakeholders, depending on who you are. And this was so important for me, because what he was basically saying was that your degrees, your experience, all those things don't really matter if you're not creating value. But if you can create value and be necessary and be needed, then people will be willing to pay for what you have to offer, or people will be willing to reward you for what you have to offer. And I guess this is linked to extraordinary thinking, because it's saying don't be caught up in the norm that if I go to school and I have this and this experience, then I'm just going to be entitled to get whatever it is that I feel I want to get. I love that he was saying, what value are you created? This is something I've reflected on as well. Last year I did a number of job interviews, and I didn't really enjoy the process, because you get asked about your experience, you get asked about your qualifications and stuff like that. And when I was reflecting on why I didn't enjoy that process, the answer that I got to was that I didn't enjoy it because all my past experience and all my qualifications are not really reflective of the value that I think I can bring into an organization. And so I started doing this exercise where I was saying, okay, but what value do I bring? So the value that I bring is beyond the fact that I'm a chartered accountant. It's beyond the fact that I'm a woman, maybe. It's beyond the fact that, I've had this and that experience. The value that I bring is that I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about unlocking potential in people and in organizations. So whatever job I'll be doing, that's sort of the additional value that you get, whether I'm a finance manager or whether I'm a strategist, or whether I'm in administration. Whatever it is that I do, I'm going to bring the value that I will be looking at ways to tap into people's potential and to help them unlock that potential. And I'll be looking for ways to solve problems. That's the other thing. I love solving problems. And it doesn't matter whether problems are within my job description. I want to solve problems wherever I'm able to solve problems. And what I wanted to be able to communicate in these interviews was really that value that I bring. And so I love that he spoke about value, because it's I do want to continue reflecting on what value do I offer, be it clients, be it people in my life, my children, what value do I offer? What value do I bring that is different from what the next person is bringing? I'm trying to see if I can get like a really, really nice quote. All right. Ooh, one thing that he talks about is okay, no, I listened to a sermon that he did on YouTube, so he didn't talk about that in here. All right. Oh, I've highlighted so many things. All right, now to get back to the bottom of the pool, the title of the book. This book really is about the fact that I feel, my translation was that there are many different levels to life. We all live life at different levels. There are people that live life at the normal level, where they basically comply to, the conventions of society, where they say, if I go to school, I get a job, go to work every day, this is who I'll become, become a mom or a dad, buy a house, live and die, basically. There are people who are satisfied with that. And this, I guess, life is really, it has different levels. And there are people that live life on the surface of the pool, where everyone it's comfortable. If you need advice, you know who to ask, because everyone is living there. And so they're able to say, well, I deal with this a certain way. And then, the other is able to say, I deal with this a certain way. Then the lower you go to the bottom of the pool, the less people there are, the less direction there is, the less, people are comfortable with you being there. So that's when you get people saying, why are you going there? That's when you get people saying, why are you choosing to live your life this way? Why don't you go this way? That's when you have less and less people to ask advice from, because no one is really willing to go to the bottom of the pool where it's uncomfortable. And at the bottom of the pool, really, it's where you're asking deeper questions about the things that you see. So if you think about innovative companies, for example, these are companies that are not accepting the norm, that come in and say, well, how can we do this differently? What if we tried this? They basically go to the foundation of what everyone else is trying to solve and say, how can we do it differently? They're not just simply looking to improve, what's there, but they're trying to ask different questions. They're trying to frame their questions differently, and they're trying to say, what if we tried it this way? And that is where you achieve results that no one else has achieved, because everyone else has tried the same thing, and therefore everyone else will have the same results. Why does this excite me? because I believe in breaking boundaries, because I believe in breaking conventions, because with my background, my childhood background, I never thought I would be where I am today. But I realized that if you just think differently and you try different things and you challenge yourself, it may not be comfortable, but you can achieve a different level of satisfaction from life. So this book really, really challenged me to continue even sharpening my mind, because if we can only think according to how much capacity we have to think, really. There are people that whatever I can comprehend is because of what I know, what I've read, what I've been exposed to. So the more I can expose myself to more and more things, the more I can start thinking differently. So this is a great book. Maybe look up Andy Andrews, watch his YouTube videos. It's really, really a great book. And I think it's setting a foundation, right? Books usually build on each other. So I'm excited about the current book that I'm reading, and will definitely share insights with you as soon as I'm done with it. Pop me questions. Let's have a discussion. What books are you reading? I'd be very happy to hear what you are learning, because the more we can share knowledge, the more we can expand the boundaries of our minds. Have a great evening. See you soon.